Are we ready for another podcast? Considering it's been precisely 1 week since this time last week. It's a cause to celebrate, right? So let me bring on our two guests for this week and a still image of Pip pretending to be a real Pip. So let me switch over and we'll get some face words from our wonderful, wonderful guests. And here they are. So this week, we're very, very lucky. Super duper lucky, some might say. We not only have me, which I mean is lucky enough in some circumstances, but we have two fantastic guests this week. Which way are we going to go first? Let's go for Jupiter Hadley. If you would like to introduce yourself, let us know exactly what you do, what you're all about, and yeah, let people know.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jupiter, and I play a lot of indie games, specifically Game Jam games on YouTube in compilation formats, and I play full indie games as well, like regular indie games as well. And I'm a games journalist, so I write for a couple of websites like Alpha Beta Gamer and Game Jones Fireside. That's me.
Oh.
And immediately Penny's just like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna... Right, anyway, and we have the wonderful, wonderful Penny Starlet Knight. Introduce yourself for the wonderful people sitting at home.
Well then. Well, apparently, according to Guy, I'm keeping them hostage in the other room. My name's Penny. Broadcaster here on Twitch. Voice actress. Director. Writer. Usually do a little bit of LGBT character consultation for some video games here and there. I have terrible white balance, and I have to stream up on my TV.
Yeah, like this is like the full Inception stream, right? So we're watching
Yeah.
us, which is about 7 layers too many, but we'll roll with it. So for you guys that may have missed last week or just not know what we're about on the regular, so we're just aiming to give you guys another direction with like some really frank and sort of open opinions about the week's gaming news, whilst also delving into some more topics that are a little more in depth to provide a bit more discussion around and to hopefully give you guys a bit more insight into different areas. And also, we're lucky enough to know quite a lot of fantastic content creators on Twitch and just in the gaming industry as a whole. So we're trying to bring as many of them to you guys so you become aware of their fantastic work. And without further ado, also if you don't know me, I'm the douche that like runs this channel or something. Very important. So without further ado, let's move on to our first topic, which is the fact that Beam, the streaming service Beam, have renamed themselves to Mixer after what seems like 20 minutes of being Beam, which is
yes, Beam Mixer.
like 20,
Yeah.
an odd one. So apparently the reasoning behind it is that they have some kind of like international, like they don't have exclusivity basically internationally to use the name Beam, so they've decided to move to Mixer. But the feeling that I get is that they're possibly like ruining what little momentum that they were kind of building towards building a larger community.
Yeah.
Like, does that kind of come across to you guys? Because they're still kind of quite behind as far as the game goes, right?
Oh.
It's kind of interesting because renaming something right after starting is such like a shaky beginning. It's like having bad foundation to what you're doing. Really, they should have researched and made sure that their name would be solid on a global scale before doing stuff. I know they have like loads of stuff on their website about how much better they are than loads of other streaming services. But I don't know, starting on such a rocky foot doesn't bode well.
Yeah, it's definitely a concern. It's definitely a concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, to me, like it's interesting because it even goes back to even like say when a Twitch broadcaster would want to rename their broadcasts, like even that's shaky. Even if a YouTuber wants to rename their channel or start a new one, you're losing almost all that foundation.
Yeah.
And I actually just saw a domain say it there in chat. Oh, wait, no, maybe it wasn't domain. I can't read. It's fine. Someone made the connection, let's say Mars. I just woke up. It's fine. That it could be related to one of their biggest broadcasters on their website being Mixtifer, and if they're tying their newer brand to their biggest broadcaster, they're doing themselves a huge disservice. Because what if that broadcaster stops making content on that website? It would be like Twitch renaming itself to Lyric, and then Lyric moves to like YouTube or something.
Yeah. I think the reason they went to that was because they just happened to have the worldwide rights to that name to be able to use it wherever they wanted to.
Right.
And I don't think that's necessarily linked to their largest broadcaster or anything. I think they just happened to have that because why not? You know, buy up some names and see what sticks, perhaps. I mean, I think that's quite a common sort of practice, just presumptively buying up names.
That was more like a hypothetical. Like, it was just like something interesting on him. So I'm like,
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, like, coincidences are not always just coincidences, right?
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, it's just, like, really, really strange, especially just, like, and the word mixer doesn't really have any connotation to video games. So
streaming, or
does Twitch really? I mean, I guess Twitch reactions or whatever.
Twitch
but like,
reactions,
it's a
Twitch
bit
shooters. Yeah, it's kind of like
tenuous, isn't it? Like, it's not bang in there.
I don't know. Mixer reminds me of like weird, like those awkward meetings you have at pubs with loads of people. It's just like such an awkward scenario, and that's what they've named their service after.
Yeah, and yeah, I think I've drunk at a mixer, like as in a bar called the Mixer.
Yeah,
thinking about it.
Like it literally sounds like it's either like it just whichever way you cut it to me, and I know a lot of people made the comparison, is that it sounds like a dating website. Like, that's just what it sounds like to me. And I'm like...
Someone, when it first came out, I think it was Old School Englander on Twitter, messaged me and he was like, it sounds like an alternate version of Grindr. And I was like, kind of, like, maybe a bisexual Grindr, because like, the mix... Like, it's just like, like I can really see it. I mean, they'd have to drop the E.
Microsoft is probably tapping into some territory that needs to be covered, but they're using the name for the wrong website. It's just like, why? It's like I understand, like they own the rights to that name. It's like it's not gonna stick.
No, I don't see it, and it's a shame because they are doing some fantastic things. So one of the things that I really rate Beam for is, as far as like technological stuff, they're really giving Twitch some competition. They're offering some great interactive elements, and they're offering like the basically zero latency stuff, which is really cool. But they're not at the same time building the community and the awareness of the platform. And obviously something like this hurts awareness and word of mouth of a platform quite heavily. To the point where they've kind of dropped back in the rankings a little bit. And I think it's a shame because competition's very healthy. It forces the best out of both sides of the equation. I'm happy for Beam to be there because I have no plans to ever go to Beam/Mixer. I believe that my home is here on Twitch. I don't want to ever move away from Twitch. I'm very much appreciate it.
More pressure on Twitch to do better things, which is always nice.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. And, they're going to take ideas from each other back and forth and whatever, and that's fantastic. But I just wish that they didn't hurt themselves so much that they become less of a factor in the equation, where they've dropped off in popularity a little, and that's a real shame to me.
Yeah, like, I find that a real shame too, because I think like one of the best things about that sort of dynamic that Twitch and Beam had with kind of like pushing each other with competition is that it was more of a friendly business competition, because I would see them supporting each other so much. Yeah. And like they still will. It's just like sure. It's just kind of like it's like it's like at least like choose something that's closer to the current brand you have instead of having to change everything, and then all of your broadcasters having to change their own business cards and this and that, because
all the merch and
all, it is a big knock-on effect. Something as simple as changing a name.
Oh yeah.
That being said, if you currently own but Beam merch, I'd imagine give it a year or two, and that's probably going to be worth a pretty penny on eBay. So maybe, maybe that's the long game, right? You kind of discontinue the name, you got a nice little stockpile of limited merch, and then you sell it on in the future and make a tidy profit. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Anyway, we should move on to our next subject. Well, actually, no. Right. So, terrible segues are my thing. Right. So, the name Mixer surely is a far cry from Beam. Far Cry 5 has been revealed and has trailers out. See, smooth, flawless. You didn't even notice that was a segue. Oh, yeah. You just thought I was continuing a conversation. Yeah. So they've revealed Far Cry 5. And we spoke about last week, like Ubisoft's offering to the E3 conferences, and how we kind of thought they were kind of weak. To be honest, it's just sequel to a game that no one really wanted a sequel to, sequel, and not particularly good sequels. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not looking forward to climbing some more towers to look out over an area and go, oh, there's a thing over there that I can go and do a mission for, because I've seen it now from my tower. I'm not looking forward to the same game again. Like, yes, they've gone to Montana, and it seems
a middle state for everything, like the boring middle state.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe places. I didn't actually know that part.
Yeah. Exciting.
I mean, I mean, it's like I know people from Montana, but I bet even they'd be like, "Why did they choose Montana?"
When's the last time you've heard of something interesting happening in Montana?
Well, Far Cry 5 is going to be interesting.
Corn? Corn's interesting.
It's not.
I mean, if you talk to a farmer that's come back from a corn convention, you would be very, very interested.
They had ears of corn this big.
Jim Bob brought his 10-foot corn this convention.
So I'm thinking.
Huge.
I'm thinking it's going to be
about corn conventions. Done.
Yeah. Oh my
god. Maybe that's it.
It's
maybe that's going to be the first DLC.
You know there's going to be a mission name pun that's called Children of the Corn. You know it.
If there isn't, I'm going to be so upset. I don't even want to play the rest of the game, but if they release that DLC, I'm getting it for that. Like that.
Oh yeah, I know. Like,
but I don't know.
Corn 3. That's the name of the convention.
Corn free, please. The Corn Cob convention is C3, isn't it? That's fine.
Yeah.
So it looks like from the trailer, it looks vaguely interesting. Like, you know, it looks like it's got some stuff going on, but still, we've not really seen in-game stuff. I think this is quoted as being like in engine, but not in game, which basically means if I draw it on a postcard, it would have the same level of similarity. Like they're never that similar to actual in-game gameplay, and I think it's too early to tell whether it'll be great or whether it'll be terrible. But I can't build up any enthusiasm for it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know people who will more than likely be excited for it. It's just like, personally, for me, like, if it's following the same formula, which it probably will, we'll get another... What was the name of the other protagonists who I can never remember the names of, even when I'm playing the video game?
We'll call him Ming Lee, because it's Ming Lee. Spam Ming Lee in the chat. Can't remember his name. God damn. He was actually a good protagonist as well.
No, yeah, like he's a
great.
really good protagonist. It's just like I can't remember his name, but it's just like, certainly even just with the key art alone here, like it sparked a lot of controversy on
of course
Twitter
it would.
for sure.
Yeah, because isn't it like proposing to like be attacking liberals or something like that? Is that what the furore was about?
I no, I mean,
well, it looks like it's depicting a sort of religious.
Yes.
So it's like Jesus' Last Supper.
Yeah, like it seems to be depicting this sort of religious cult theme, which a lot of those sort of cults over here are called, well, they're related to conservatives, which are related to Republicans, and it's like kind of going down that whole political thing.
It's closed down by Trump.
Yeah,
you'll never see like that.
So basically, something that you would see in the backwoods of my hometown in upstate New York. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, like the villains are white people," and they're losing their minds over it.
Disgusting, outraged.
And I'm like, okay, they need to actually consider it. And this is probably one of the reasons I might pick up the game and play it. Is because Ubisoft is taking a look at what's going on in the States. Like, this is something that happens with religious cults. And they're going to show the people who are usually involved in that.
Yeah.
Who are white.
The people in the key art. And they're not going to show different... Like, they're not going to show people of color in these situations, because it's usually not people of color in this situation.
Yeah. So yeah, I can... Yeah, I mean, it's kind of to be expected that there's going to be a level of about it, but I wish I could properly at the moment. My throat is so, like, ruined.
Yeah, don't wait. It's like, don't expect me to be reeing this early in the morning.
So yeah, poor Penny joined us. Like, that was 9 a.m. for you at the moment. Well, just gone. Impressive. But yeah, like, I guess, you know, we'll have to see what comes of Far Cry 5. I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe we'll see a bit more of it out of E3, and hopefully it'll be something actually in game rather than in engine. Because that's where you're actually going to see how the game's going to even remotely be. And
I am.
Maybe it will actually challenge. You know, maybe Ubisoft will completely surprise me this time. Maybe they will challenge some really difficult themes and really kind of like shine a light on some of those areas, and that would be great. But I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. But
you never know. We'll I mean, me and you will definitely see come E3.
Yes,
at least.
Most definitely. Yeah, we're actually going to see Ubisoft on the Thursday of E3, so we'll be about the last to know. Wait for that one.
But we'll know the most stuff.
So once you've already read it elsewhere, make sure to keep an eye out for our content. But moving on from things that start with an F. Fallout 4 is free this weekend, and I've got the best video known to man for Fallout 4, which is from this YouTuber Tyrannicon, I think his name is. It's like a compilation of some of the more delightful mods that you can get for Fallout 4, and they're beautiful. They're absolutely fantastic. This is like my favorite thing to do in Fallout 4 is get the dumbest mods. And add them in. But yeah, it's going to be free this weekend, as in now, on Steam and Xbox One.
Like the last day.
Yeah. But you know, if you want to give it a play, but like, one of the things that I'm kind of spreading away from this a touch, base game's also 2/3 off as well. So if you're ever going to pick it up, now's the time.
It would literally be the time.
Absolutely. But one of the things that I'm kind of a little curious about is for the invites for Bethesda's press conference at E3. They've got like the graphic for it is like it almost looks like a map for a theme park, right?
Oh,
and they've got like 2 things under construction. So obviously like new, and they're supposed to be like new IPs on the scale of like a Skyrim or a Fallout, which is pretty cool.
That would
they're going to be
nice.
like Bethesda games, like that
Please,
style
Bethesda.
of game. But like they've also got like Fallout 4 on there as part of like the attractions on the map. So I'm wondering whether there's going to be more to come, because they said they're kind of done with the with the DLC for it. But I'd love some more content for Fallout 4 because I absolutely adored it. I still am playing it even now. And I love that Penny's just transfixed by the mods.
Just watching.
Right? I just love mods.
They're so good. They're so good. Like
Oh my god, the cat!
like for people that are listening to the audio only version of this, you're missing out. Like, do go look it up on YouTube just for the mods alone. But I'll be very interested to see if they're adding anything more to Fallout, or I think Doom was on there as well as like one of the attractions. So if there's more, I think they're done with Doom's DLC officially as well. So it'd be interesting to see if there's more to add there. But pick up Fallout 4 is my message to take away from
It's
this.
free for now, so you might as well.
Well,
you might
absolutely.
as well.
Well, it's a bit of a hefty download though. That's the only thing. So it may be.
What game isn't, except for every indie game on the planet.
Yeah. But I don't know. I really enjoy it. Oh yeah, Fallout VR, as Lodders has put in there, because Fallout
Yes.
VR has been a long time coming. They mentioned it last year at their press conference, and we're like, "Oh, it's really good. It's going to come soon." So maybe they just slap in VR and everything.
Yeah.
I see the point of putting Fallout 4 in VR, but at the same time, like, it's hard enough to get that game to run at a decent frame rate just normally. Whether that's going to actually work is another question.
I mean, you'll see, and if you want to play it in VR, you'll get to experience what the United States will be in about 4 years.
So there's something to look forward to.
Exactly.
Before it happens, be prepared.
I am a ray of sunshine this morning.
Well, this is the worst part. So, like, normally we have Pip here, who's all like, "Yeah, this is gonna be great. There's gonna be, it's gonna shit rainbows. It's gonna be, I'm gonna cry with happiness." And then I'm usually the miserable bastard in the corner, just like, "It's gonna be shit. I'm gonna hate it. I don't even know what it is, and I know I'm gonna hate it." But we don't have the balance.
Well, I mean, you see what Wagner said in chat. They were thinking 6 months. I was being positive.
Yeah, that is the positive upside.
And I think that was my Irish and Scottish showing through with being a miserable bastard.
So yeah, join us for positive vibes next week when Pip is back. but for now, the positive experience that you'll get from Pip being here next week would be quite rewarding. Unfortunately, the bot that does all of the really cool reward stuff, Revlo, announced yesterday that they shall be no more in like a couple of weeks, and that makes me really sad. Have you guys used Revlo? Or I guess mainly Penny.
I've been okay. Apparently, someone cast Toad on my throat. Okay. But it's like I've been using it ever since I think the month after it launched out of alpha. And it like I briefly met James. I've met a lot of the team at PAX events, at TwitchCon. And like there are a bunch of really good people. Apparently my throat isn't awake.
Battle through it. I believe in you.
It'll be a better experience than Battlefront 1. I'll take cracks at that. But yeah, it's like Revlo's a really, really good, they're an amazing company, and for them to provide a service that like incentivizes and kind of plays to Twitch chat's gambling addiction, it's just really good because you can give them something for being there, for watching you. And some people will argue that, like if you do that, it's like not like natural organic growth, like you're giving people, like you're making people be there by saying like, if you are here and you spend like 500,000 derp points or whatever, you'll be able to name a character in the next video game I'm playing or something.
Yeah.
But I like it's a type of service that does well for some people and doesn't do well for others.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can do so many cool things with it, but with Twitch's new loyalty points program up and coming, like I said, I feel like this was kind of like their final nail in the coffin, and they're like, we should just pack it up.
So do you think that it's going to be easy to replace?
I mean, there are apparently Deepbot are sort of immediately turned around and like started feverishly working on something in this space. I didn't get a chance. Like, I only found out about it shortly before the stream, so I didn't actually get time to look into it properly. But apparently they're doing something in that sort of area to try and cover that base. Yeah. And Deepbot's already monetized and it's earning money, because that's the reason Revlo went, is the lack of income. Well, Deepbot already have like a healthy income, as it's a subscribed service for a lot of the VIP stuff. So so that at least they can support that kind of functionality, I guess.
Oh, for sure. It's just like I don't know the Deepbot folks as much, but their format is really, really good. It's really smart. But certainly for Revlo, they've had we talked about competition before. Like, they've had competition with other services, obviously, Deepbot hopping on it, but they've had folks like Gather, Stream Elements is working on one, Onkbot has had a point service since its fairly early inception.
Yeah, 1.0 near enough, wasn't it?
So it's like Revlo was not only fighting the clock with trying to make money and revenue, they were dealing with competition from several different avenues, and it was just kind of like, who's going to break first? Yeah,
and obviously some of those already had established revenue streams from the outset that were user-driven revenues rather than passive from, like, you know, taking a percentage from donations or add-ons or whatever else like that. So they were already in a stronger situation where their user base was used to stumping up a bit of cash for the services, which puts them obviously in a much stronger position. But it's just a real shame. The Revlo guy seems super nice, and they gave a damn about the users that were using it. And I mean, there were two things that I was gonna say, and Lolers there brought up an interesting thing. It worked really well for MOBA streamers, but you'd be surprised how well it worked for even folks like me who play primarily Pokemon or RPGs that allow you to name characters. Like, that got people super involved. If you let someone have an opportunity to name a Tyranitar, they will fight over it. To the death in some cases.
To the death. And that's how we got Pork Snaggle the Tyranitar. And then a Pokemon Yellow... Oh yeah, and then we got a Pokemon Yellow file that was named all sorts of lewd stuff. So it's just kind of like, it had so many uses, and it was, and a lot of people liked the fact that it wasn't pay gated.
Yeah,
a lot of people liked that, and that can be your downfall in a lot of cases.
I mean, that's an easy way to get the users in. You have a solid product and it's free. I mean, why? There's no reason not to at least try it, and if it works well for you, there you go. You're done.
Yeah, exactly what Vacna said. Like, there are people who would have stuff like that.
Yeah, like, and the thing is, like, I think it's just a case of how smartly you do things. You know, RevloBot and any of these reward systems, any bots, anything really, anything that you do with your channel is all based on your skill and the way that you employ those solutions on your channel. So, like, for example, I have DeepBot. I have paid for DeepBot for, I have no idea how many years at this stage. Certainly, I think we had it back when we were still known as LagSpike, which is a hell of a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure we did. And, like, I don't use any of it. Like, if anyone in the Twitch chat right now did !Senshudo, as in Dove money, very clever, they've got points. You've been earning points this whole time. I just don't use them. Like, I just actually have no use for them whatsoever. Because I just don't bother. Oh, have I closed DeepBot? Okay, I lied.
Everyone's trying it, nothing's happening.
But, I want my dough, Sam!
I mean, you know, get trolled. But, but, you know, like, because we just don't use it. We do other stuff in stream that, you know, we try and get people involved. We do stuff like these podcasts, and we gravitate in that direction and provide different experiences that way. And that works for us to a degree. But if you do it very smartly, and if you set up rewards that people genuinely want, you're going to make people want to hang out. And you'll, just leave a window open. Because one of the things that streamers say all the time, nice and decent streamers say all the time, is your money is appreciated but not required. Your sub is appreciated but not required. You chatting is appreciated but not required. But you just turning up, you telling your friends about being here is the most important thing. And we massively, massively appreciate you doing that. And this is just a way of rewarding that activity and encouraging them to do the same thing, to pull their friends in. Hey, you can get a Steam key for hanging out in chat for 10 hours or whatever it is, you know? And
it's like you can do so many cool things with it. And what Pieman said, Ankbot is doing that really good migration thing with Revlo points, and it's gonna pretty much like motivate me to rebuilding Starry Nightbot at least. But it's just like, at the end of the day, it's a shame. I hate seeing amazing startups like this go under, honestly. But the good thing is, everybody knows the Revlo guys.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, I'm excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe they'll pick up positions with, like, DeepBot, BrainBot, Unkbot, for example. As far as I'm aware, they're still not actively developing for that. They're just patching. So maybe they move across to Unkbot and make that the project that RevloBot was intended to be, because they're combining user bases. Like, maybe they could go down that path. There's definitely opportunity there. But
there's a ton of opportunity.
Yeah, but just so you guys are aware, like, if you are a RevloBot user at the moment, you got about 3 weeks until June 16th to export all of your information from RevloBot. If you go onto the Revlo website, there's it'll be a link right at the top where you can do that, and it just pumps out a CSV file, which is like an Excel file near enough, and you'll be able to use that file. Yeah, a delightful spreadsheet. Everyone loves spreadsheets, especially if they like playing Football Manager. But then you can use that CSV to import your data into various other solutions. So yeah, you know, like there's time to grab your stuff. It's a real shame that they're disappearing from the game, but needs must. Unfortunately, you can't keep operating on fresh air forever.
I mean, pretty much, Arberk. The way that I look at this, like even if it's like a sort of sad thing, like doors on a business are closing, people who are working and trying to make ends meet are losing their jobs. Like that's never a good thing. But the thing is, they've made a name for themselves.
For sure.
So they're gonna find work, for sure.
Yeah, so you know, like it's sad to see it happen for now, but like you know, hopefully in the future it results in something positive for another
Not only
another
for them,
route.
but for new stuff.
Yeah,
New stuff that'll replace it.
Yeah, we can always hope that it levels out somewhat. So God, how am I going to do this one? The things that I never really got into, like Revlobot, Monster Hunter Double X. Is it XX Double X? I actually don't know.
Double Cross.
Double Cross. That's right. That's right.
Neither of those things.
Yeah, none of those options. So at the moment, it's just kind of announced. It's going to exist. It's out there in the ether, and we don't know terribly much more than that. All I know is I tried to play one of them. I think it was like Generations or something, and I just went, I'm running around and grinding lots and then chasing this one fucking monster from map to map to map to map to map to map, and now the game's closed and going away.
Now the game's gone.
It's Monster Hunter is then shutting down Double Cross. Oh my god. I mean, I was gonna say Revlo is carrying a Double Cross right now, but that's...
Oh god. Can you guys just all get out, please? Your puns can't be worse than mine.
I mean, the door to the outside world is right over there. I can leave right now if I wanted to.
Just walk out.
Walk out. But
you'll still be behind you'll still be there behind you in spirit anyway for a short period. It'd be fine.
Oh yeah. But like for me, like I was in the same boat with Monster Hunter until I had a group of friends to play it with. It's certainly a game that, like, you can play it on your own, but it's best experience when you're playing it with, like, at least one other person. And the fact that it's coming to a main console, well, a hybrid.
And a console that's good for multiplayers as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
This is where I think Monster Hunter is going to once again thrive, because people love, like, it has a cult following. People love it. They would still play it on the 3DS, but every Monster Hunter fan that I would speak to in existence was like, man, we wish they continued the series on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
Or to go even further back, they wish that they would have continued it on a Sony platform, or just have it on a console in general.
Yeah.
Because the 240p was not lending it any assistance. Plus, like, your thumbstick would break sometimes when playing that game, because it's a really intense game.
Yeah, you need to, like, really heavily roll sometimes to get out of danger and whatever else, and I can see how breakages occur.
I am. And, yeah, EKB, like, Nintendo's stock shot up after the announcement. It was insane. I was like, oh my god. It's like someone on Wall Street really likes Monster Hunter.
It was just this one guy, you know. He was really into it.
Threw all of his money at Nintendo that day. And yeah, Flick, if only Monster Hunter was on Steam. This is why we have Tokiden Kiwami. And Dauntless coming soon. TM.
Some indistinct point in the future.
Yeah.
But currently this game's only in Japanese, right? It's only been announced for Japan and not for like Western-speaking countries. Western-speaking Western countries.
I'm fluent in Western, I'll have you know.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
I think the benefit of this is like, even if it isn't Japanese, with the way that the Switch works, you could still get it. But there are two things that are going to occur here, I feel. Is that we're either going to see something about it at E3, very briefly.
Nintendo have an enormous area at E3 as well. Like it's bigger than last year's, and they had Breath of the Wild last year.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I feel like it's gonna be there because this is like one of their biggest things aside from ARMS and Splatoon 2 and such for the Switch. And with them putting Monster Hunter on the Switch, to me, it begs the question, like, if Monster Hunter, like, if they're moving Monster Hunter to the Switch, what else are they moving?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, like, the Switch is actually getting some decent game support as well, which is very surprising. Like, I was expecting it to be really, really slow at start, but it seems like people are really keen to put their stuff on Switch. So I can see it. I can see a lot of stuff moving over.
It's just easier to develop for, because of the NVIDIA framework of it. We're getting two new Metroid games, apparently. Nintendo has 5 games to show this year, which I'm excited about, because I can actually be at fucking E3 this year.
Do either of you have a Nintendo Switch?
Yes. I don't yet. I'm someday, maybe.
Yeah, exactly, Sin Spitter. Like, Monster Hunter has always been between the, that sort of, like, the portable and console. So, the Switch is, like, it's... like,
I'd
the
say
best
it's made
place
for it.
for it.
Yeah,
it's made for it.
It really does suit a console, like, especially with the on-the-go stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, I want to do a run through, or, you know, I want to complete a specific takedown of an enormous bastard that I've discovered with Penny, and I could just roll up with my Switch and just be like, yo, let's do this.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the beauty of it. And I know this is going back to my favorite franchise ever, but like I said, with this, like, Monster Hunter being moved to the Switch, it's like another game that benefits from that is Pokemon.
Yeah. I mean, how long have we been yearning for, like, the Pokemon experience that we imagined when we played Red that still hasn't really appeared?
Yeah, it's like they're getting there, but the 3DS being very much, it's an amazing portable system, but it is at the end of its lifespan. No matter what they can do, it's getting towards the end of its lifespan. And I feel like the best place to move it is literally the Switch.
Well, the Switch is a big 3DS. It literally is.
That's what it is. Like there'd be no reason to really make another portable when you have a hybrid.
Yeah, and I love that, because I'm like this grouchy old man, right? I don't know if you've gathered this by the ever interacting with me.
It over and over.
But, like, you know, or having ever read, like, a tweet that I've ever sent or anything like that. But, like, I've gotten to the stage, like, I've got an enormous S8 Plus as my phone, because I'm just slow. I'm convinced I'm slowly going blind. So, like, I can't deal, even with, like, the new 3DS XL, where they've just kept going like that. It's still too small. Like, I can't get into and enjoy something on a small screen. But, like, on a Switch, I can do that. And if I wanted to, I could slap it on a big screen.
Exactly. And it's, like, the thing is, like, Lullers, they do have plans for the XDS systems, but the way that I look at it is that they're following kind of like the PS3 model, the PS3, PS4 model, where they're begrudgingly slowly phasing it out because the PS3 was one of Sony's like best-selling consoles. It was one of their best performing. So, and the 3DS has carried Nintendo through a lot of their consoles' failings.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Wii U, I don't know whether that actually did make them money, but in the meanwhile, they were pumping out new gens of the DS consoles, and every time they did, it was like, whoosh, there you go, the stock's back to where it used to be, that's fine. Or higher, in some cases.
Yeah. And I almost feel like saying the Switch is almost as big as your phone is a misnomer. If I were to pick up my Switch, it would be at least 4 times as big as my phone.
Yeah, I've held
you
both.
You can display it on your TV and...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I could be bothered, I'd go raid through Pip's personal possessions, which are just a little way over to the side from me, because she's got one somewhere. I've held one. It's probably... if you slapped together maybe two of my phone sort of height-wise, and then slapped another one like rotated portrait style on the side, it's probably around that sort of size. I would say. But yeah, it's definitely bigger than a mobile device. Yeah. I wouldn't say like super comfortably use it as like a portable gaming console, because again, I'm just a grumpy old man. But like the fact that I can just go whoop straight into the dock and put it on a TV, and then I can play portable games like I play every other game that I play. That's not some like casual Candy Crush knockoff.
No,
also, yes, give me some more of this.
I have an iPhone. I have a Switch. Oh, hold on, I almost dropped my phone.
You have a pen. You have an app. No.
I mean, it's at least double the size at the very least.
With the potential to go on a TV and be even bigger. It's a really nice console. I've seen it like at pubs and places where people are just hanging out. They just take it with them, and it seems so nice to just be able to show up.
Are people doing that really annoying? I want to know if anyone's done this yet. Are people doing the really inconsiderate thing of like rolling up to a basketball game and going, "Fuck your basketball. We got the Switch with us, and we're going to play it really awkwardly on our Joy-Cons." Has anyone done that yet?
I'm sure someone has. I'm sure. Has.
I loved the Switch advert for that. It's just like, oh, it was a classy rooftop dinner party. Well, boom, there you go. You got your Switch. We're gonna really uncomfortably play.
Switch at arms.
Yeah, just like punching people off the rooftop. But anyway, back to the thing. Like, I don't think this one's for me. But like, Monster Hunter is just it's not my cup of tea. But then I'm not really a group player. Like I
don't have friends. No one wants to play with you.
With your backwards cap and told them how rad Switch basketball. Please get out. But yeah, like it's not one for me because I don't really do group play. Like even like in MMOs, I play a lot of Final Fantasy 14. I kind of begrudgingly party up for raids and dungeons, and I'm like, well, I've had enough of this.
I mean, at that point, like you're forced to. So
yeah, you know, I don't really fancy trying to solo some kind of like world boss as a dragoon because, you know, let's be honest, I'm instantly attracted to pools of damage anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like the usual things people say about dragoons. Floor mop, floor tank, this, and that. Right. I'm a paladin, so I just sit there and do no damage.
Yeah. How do you drown a dragoon? Paint an AoE circle on the bottom of a lake. That's just the standard. Anyway, from things that are useless to things that I view are useless. So. Xbox have kind of slapped together like another one of these passes. So you've got like your was it EA Access? Is it? No. What's the name of the EA one? EA have their subscription doodly doo.
Origin
Access it's called now, isn't it? Yeah. So like they've got their subscription model where you can get access to games, and then like their new ones you can only play for like 10 hours, and stuff like that. You've got like PS Now, which is the PlayStation flavor of that, but that's all like stream stuff based on the like the Gaikai company that they bought up before. But this one is specifically around the Xbox One, and that will give you access to. I think the number ended up being like 111 Xbox One and 360 backwards compatible games for $10 a month, which I would imagine is going to translate to £10 a month because lol
exchange rates.
But do we think that? I don't know about you guys, but I think I've had enough of these weird subscription models to get access to a bunch of games. There's so many, and you've got stuff like OnLive, which ultimately failed, which was again like that streaming service. So they were more expensive though. I think they were like $15 a month or something.
Yeah, they were.
So, do we think that we've had enough of these? Do we think that this is going to do well for them? Because like some of the titles that they've got on there are pretty good, I guess. You've got like Halo 5 Guardians, Payday 2, Lego Batman, Viva Pinata, which is a great one to be able to play on your Xbox One, because I think a lot of people hold on to their 360 solely to play Viva Pinata because that game was amazing.
But I mean, isn't Viva Pinata on Rare Replay anyway?
Was it included on that? I never actually picked that up in the end.
Is. I don't know. Yeah, I have it somewhere. But true. What Freebird said is that you can actually download the titles, but
yeah, it's not streaming, but it's a similar basis. You're paying your money and you get access to these games, but not for keepsies.
Yeah,
I think it's personally. I'm sorry.
No, you go. I've been talking.
I think personally, I don't like subscription services, and I don't like subscribing to a monthly amount to maybe play games. But there's a lot of people who would prefer. I know a lot of people who prefer to just have the game for a little while and see if they like it and play around with it, or just completely. My brother just like sitting down and almost completing games, and then having more games to look at without having to pay an additional cost does hold some value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like...
Oh, go on.
No, yeah. I mean, like, I was gonna say, like, it's good, but I think the majority of people are kind of done with it. I know I am.
Me too.
And for what Tapa asked, like, from what I'm reading from this article...
Yeah, you still need gold. You still need gold plus this on top.
You're paying for 2 subscriptions, and so it's kind of like most people are not going to do that.
I forget how much gold is. It's been a long time since I had it. Like last time I had it was when I had a 360 still.
I mean,
used one still. But I want to say it's like $7 a month. It's around that mark, so it's nearly the same. Again, £40 per year.
$10 for a month.
Mathematics per month. So it's okay, closer to 5. I guess it's probably like £7 a month. So it's probably like $9 a month then, something like that.
Yeah. $10 from what I'm reading.
Yeah. So you're doubling your monthly to get access to a pool of games that, if we're being honest, like it's great for them to have the claim of like over 100 titles, and I think it's like 111. It ended up being for launch. It's well and good saying that, but out of those 100 and some games, you're probably gonna play 5, and there's gonna be a lot of padding in there. There's gonna be a lot of, no-name game 1, 2, 3, and special edition in there. Because going from the PS Now one, I hadn't even heard of half of the games that was on PS Now. I literally had never heard of them, and that baffled me. Absolutely baffled me.
PS Now did have some pretty good video games on it, even that were the ones that you never heard of.
Yeah, I mean, there were some good ones in there.
But
there were definitely some good ones in there. But again, it was like, and it was quite rarely updated on PS Now. Maybe they'll update this one and add more stuff to it more regularly. That would be nice. And add some more value to it. But I don't know. But however, like the Xbox Live Gold members, existing Xbox Live Gold members, will get access early to have a 14-day trial. So I guess you could just dip into it, check it out, play the 5 games that I mentioned earlier, and then just never renew.
It does say in this article they'll be adding new titles each month, so that there will be more to experience.
But then, what titles are they adding? You know, like because again, like I'm just going off of PS Now because that's the one that I used most recently. I did have OnLive at one point in time. And I've never touched the EA one other than a trial to play Battlefield 1 at one point. But like when they were regularly adding to it, it would be like I don't know, like Catherine, which is a game that I absolutely loved and enjoyed, and I was like, oh god, that's really good. They put that on there, and also these other things that are kind of games, I guess. Like,
yeah, I mean, the way that I look at it, in a way, is oddly enough comparative to how a lot of licensing works in the anime industry, where you get this like one really good thing, like, but then TV Tokyo is like, hey, you can have amazing anime A, but you have to take these 2 other animes that are terrible with it.
Okay, so it's like a bundled deal sort of thing.
Yeah, a bundle deal. But like it's sort of comparative to that, but it's kind of like probably the model is that they can only get that one good thing, and then they have to put like shovelware or games that are not really that good. Well, I guess they have a strict
budget for it, right? Otherwise, it's not going to make profit for the company. So, you know, they spend $100,000 on getting Halo 5 on there, and then they've got like $20,000 to put the rest on there, and they're just going to pick up whatever makes up a decent enough number for $20,000 worth of spend. I mean, obviously those numbers are quite skewed, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I can see the trouble with it to make it a profitable and useful service. Like there's service, not surface, as I nearly said.
Surface.
That's another product
from
Microsoft.
Buy the Microsoft Surface 3.
You get a free trial of that too.
Yeah, why not? 14 days? Oh, I'll take one for 14 days. I'm only going to E3 for 11. That's fine. But yeah, I'm going to be very pessimistic about it, unbelievably. Like I would be super cautious about, because the problem with it, like again, if it's anything like the PS Now service, it was such a pain in the arse to unsubscribe from that service. Oh my god. Like, because Sony's websites suck at the best of times, to be fair, but like, it was like the full jumping through hoops scenario in order to cancel it. So, yeah, just be sure, even if you are checking out the 14-day trial, it usually requires a credit card to be attached to do so. So just be careful that you don't sign up for it and get caught in some kind of, oh god, I don't have a spare 6 hours to unsubscribe sort of scenario with it. I guess that's my word of warning that goes along with it.
Don't forget that you're subscribed to it and then be subscribed to it for months and go, this thing.
The amount of times I've been reminded to unsubscribe from a service by it stealing a tenner out of my account that I needed. It's just like, oh god, no.
Yep.
It's too late.
Oh god.
Oh, I guess it's noodles again this month, you know.
So, oh yes.
So, from subscription models that I think are dead to Red Dead Redemption 2 being delayed. That wasn't bad, right?
Red Dead
That was
Redemption
okay.
2 being dead in the water.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But anyway,
That's fine.
what do you guys think of this? Personally, I think it's a good thing.
I do
too. It's a Rockstar thing, right? Leave them to do their work. Leave them to do their busy work. Like, I'm fine with that. I would rather you release a perfectly well polished and bug free game than you release Mass Effect Andromeda. You know, like, I have no wish to have a game early that's shit, as opposed to having a game that works and is late.
And it's a good thing that you point that comparison to Andromeda, because I feel like, and I'm also going to bring up Persona 5 as well, because Persona 5 and Andromeda are the two kind of, I think, comparative spectrums right now when it comes to quality by delaying a game. Because Persona 5, all the issues that I have with publicity and PR and some choices by the dev in the game, don't even get me started on their excuse for not having a female protagonist option. I can talk about that for 3 hours.
Breathe. Be zen.
Breathing.
Continue.
But Persona 5 came out amazing for being a game that came out 5 years after its initial release date.
How many years was it? Was it 7, 8?
Yeah, it was a long time.
It was something like that.
But Andromeda was forced out. It was very obvious. And
kicking and screaming the entire way.
Kicking and screaming. And like, I feel I feel bad for the team.
Yeah, I feel really bad for them.
Like, for BioWare in Montreal, like, this was their first major title, and EA was pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yep.
Not to say that BioWare Montreal didn't have were just purely the victims. They made some bad choices themselves.
Yeah, you know, the issues that were present in the game were in a large part stuff that surely, absolutely, certainly must have been picked up way before that release, and should have been given some priority.
And I like what Freebird said, like, it deserved more time. And I mean, the BioWare Montreal team deserved more time to work on it. Because, like, and that's one of the things. Yeah, exactly. We couldn't afford mocap actors, or we weren't able to code that in. We fucked up Hannity. Like, we messed up the trans characters' dialogue big time.
We kind of forgot we kind of forgot what human emotions look like. Soz.
Yeah. So, but like, for me, like, yeah, I wanted to love that game so much, and I'm gonna go back to it when everything is fixed, because and then this is another thing, I feel bad for the main BioWare team, because they need to go back and work on this game continuously until they feel happy with it.
And in a lot of ways, there's a lot of that game that almost needs to be completely scrapped and remade from the ground up, because it's just so far wrong and so off of where it should be that it just seems like it'd be quicker for them to start from scratch.
Yeah, like, it honestly would seem that way. And it's just like a lot of people in the industry, like developers, are looking what happened with Andromeda and are like, good idea to delay our game.
Yeah. It seems the safer option.
And the thing is, like, I fully feel that it's an amazing idea that Rockstar is delaying this so they can work on everything, so they can have the PC port ready, so we aren't waiting until 2019 for the PC release.
There's no point in pushing out a game that's broken and that doesn't work well, because then you just disappoint loads of people who purchased your game and you set a wrong tone. So I think it's great they've released a couple of screenshots and like, hey, sorry, we're going to take a bit longer, but it'll be a better game resulting.
Yeah. Like, that's how I feel. Never ever. You'd be surprised, Papa. Some of those agreements are becoming a little bit more lax.
Well, I mean, Destiny 2, I mean, that was a game that, as much as people clamoured for it, I didn't see that ever coming to PC.
Yeah, I
thought that was laughable.
Either. And on Battle.net, no less.
Yeah, right? Like, we talked about that last week, and it's just like, I never thought I'd be saying these words, but here it is. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
The Final Fantasy games. They're all pretty much on PC. What? No, that's not. And on mobile as well. Like, what? I never thought I'd see that.
It's like, the thing is that Sony understands that their player base, and this is really smart of them because they do this sort of thing to support their developers and make sure that developers that they work with get more money so they can make even more games, so they themselves can make more money. Because if they allow their developers to make games on different platforms, they're going to be able to make more games at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, I think there's something to be said for like the console developers themselves not being viewed as like these evil gatekeepers, because people are more aware nowadays, right? People are aware of how systems work and how the contracts work to a degree, and we understand that the only reason these are console exclusives is much less the willingness to port, and it's much more here's the exclusivity contract for that game. So again, like, it's perception of them as a company, right? I don't want to be sort of looking at Sony and going, you dicks, you're keeping me from my experience.
Yeah, and it's like, a lot of people, I feel, are also over, like, the exclusivity console wars stuff anyway. Even the companies themselves are just kind of like, whatever, we just want to put out the best thing that we can, because at this point, people are going to go with, like, brand loyalty based off the console, not based off the game. Like, I didn't buy the Switch because of the games on it. I bought it because it's a Nintendo product, because I like Nintendo.
Biggest fango NA, yes. We understand.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just kind of like... Oh, yeah, another example. There's Bayonetta on Steam now.
Right? What?
You would never imagine that happening.
But the thing is, like, it's so niche as it is. This is like a real cult following sort of game. That blew my mind. That came out of nowhere as well.
Yeah, it did. And the thing is, people are like, oh, it's like because like their agreement with Nintendo ended. And I'm like, no. Nintendo holds on to their IPs and properties like
ironclad.
It is insane. For that, the consumer is ready to switch. Huge percent shift from Microsoft to Sony after Microsoft fell the starting line hugely. Yeah,
I think they understand that it's not a foregone conclusion that people will own a console if they're a gamer now, and it was before, last gen. Like, I think, like the PS3 had a lot of issues. So a very large lack of titles for a very, very long time, and it became a foregone conclusion that you would have a 360, or very nearly a foregone conclusion. But now there's more flexibility in the market.
Yeah, it's like there's flexibility, there's actual like brand loyalty, and it's not like toxic brand loyalty, as it was before. And I think that shows a degree of maturity occurring in the games industry, oddly enough. That being said, considering everything else that happens, but it's little pockets like that to me that say like things are changing.
Yeah,
and things are changing for the better. Yeah.
Yeah, like thinking about it, like it hadn't really occurred to me, but I've not really seen any dickheads going, "Oh, what? You're playing on an Xbox One, or why is this not on PS4?" I've not seen that in a very long time.
No, yeah. And the only time that you'll see people complaining about that is, in the communities where it's always complained about. Call of Duty.
Well, surely no. I guess we kind of strayed away from what we were kind of originally focused around a little bit. I'm excited for Red Dead 2.
For sure.
The original, well, I'd say the original. Red Dead 1 was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
This, so far, I mean, from trailers, it looks really good, but then, of course, they're trailers. But considering who's behind it, I mean, Rockstar put out a bad game. I don't... Not that I can recall.
I wouldn't say a bad that they've put out a bad game. There's just
GTA
some
4.
things. I mean, even to a degree, I wouldn't even say that GTA 4 was bad. It just
wasn't that good.
Yeah, it was kind of like
it was average.
It was average.
It was a 5 or a 6.
It was okay.
Like,
not bad.
But it's like Rockstar is also very aware. And oddly enough, like Rockstar was brought up when people were talking about Bungie and Vicarious Visions for Destiny 2. That Rockstar is aware of their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And they're aware that if they don't give it the time that they need, they're going to be dealing with a lot of bugs on release. Oh yeah, Manhunter 2. Yes.
Oh, Manhunt 2. Okay. But that was
a while ago.
PS2.
Two-ish.
I think it was 2. But like, I mean, we're going back. We're really going back. And Manhunt 1 was pretty cool, if a bit grim. But like, Curse of the Sequel, I guess.
It's like Rockstar knows what they're good at and what they're bad at.
Yeah.
And they're aware that if they not so much that they rush it, but if they were to release it on their original schedule, they know there would have been issues.
Mm-hmm.
People would have been angry, and it wouldn't have been a good time.
It would have devalued your brand.
Yeah. They don't want another repeat of the anger of GTA 5 taking forever to get to PC. They don't want that.
No.
So it's a smart decision.
It's a very, very smart business decision.
But yeah, I mean, I think Take-Two as well, like, obviously, publisher, they basically just sort of turned around and went, yeah, good. I'm glad they have, yeah, good on you. Like, they had, like, they sort of publicly said, like, yeah, fair enough, go for it, enjoy. Take as long as you want, lads, that's no trouble. Okay, so... I'm really looking forward to this. So, unfortunately, Pip isn't here to talk about this herself. But... So we're going on to our game recommendations for the week, and Pip's recommendation this week is a game called Iceman that she played in an arcade at Herne Bay.
Oh,
and it's a knockoff Plants vs Zombies game.
Oh my god!
Where you shoot at the screen with like the little ice plant dudes. And they actually spray water at the screen. And as you get power-ups, it sprays more water at these zombies to freeze them and kill them.
Oh my god.
There's a fog comes up out of the AstroTurf that's like at the bottom of the cabinet as you're playing to like impair your view. And it's
like a real fog.
It's the best thing I've ever seen. It's amazing.
It looks so cute as well.
I know.
Oh, that is precious.
It's brilliant. It's such a unique game. Like, you're actually spraying water at a screen. And that's just...
Aww.
That's just mad. And I love it.
And from this video, it looks really responsive to the water, like surprisingly.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder whether it's responsive to the water or whether there's like also a laser pointer or like the old light gun controls inside with the water. I'd love if it was detecting the water because that's such a cack-handed way of actually making it work. But
I'm hoping it's the water too.
Yeah, even though it makes no sense,
pretend.
I want it to.
We're gonna pretend it's the water.
Yeah, it's definitely the water that controls it. But like she was saying, it was like the best fun. Like even though it's the stupidest, weirdest thing, it was
Sometimes
like actually
those are the
really
best,
fun.
though.
No, yeah.
Also, like it was like proper knockoff. Like the more zombies on the screen, the more the frame rate just plummets.
Oh god, yeah, it is.
It's like really awfully optimized. The water does cycle through, I believe. Like it just drops down off the screen and just goes back into the.
Don't drink the water.
Yeah, definitely don't put your mouth over that. No.
No.
So that's because basically, like Pip's been. This was at Herne Bay, which is like somewhere on the south coast of the UK. But yeah, because like Pip's been like mad busy because the reason Pip's not here, I don't know if I explained at the start, is she's at MCM Comic Con at the moment.
Oh, I noticed.
And like the picture that you can see, if you are capable of seeing and you're watching a non-audio version of this, is actually her in a Nidalee cosplay that she was up until 5 a.m. this morning making and finishing off.
Yes, the cosplay life.
And like she's just absolutely dead, I think, at this stage.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
but so she this was the only thing that she got to play recently, really, while she was slaving away.
Well, it's a good game. It's a really unique, different, interesting game to show off. It looks so fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was just like, that. She was like, oh, it's not like a normal game, and I don't know about putting it in because it's a bit weird. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly the sort of stuff we want to see.
The display that they have with it, the rainbow lights speeding through, and
it's the full arcade experience.
I mean, like, the thing is like a lot of people forget to include arcade games when it comes to stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
Like there are a ton of really good games in arcades that people forget about.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Gundam Pod thing in Japan. That I hope that they don't
arcade.
I hope they don't discontinue it by the time I actually get out there. But
Sod's Law, a week before. That'll be it. But yeah, I just thought we, even though Pip's not here, even though I haven't played the game myself, I thought I just needed to present that to you guys for just how ridiculously cool that weirdness is.
Arcades are out. So I'm gonna one comment. Desorite. I don't know how to say names. Arcades are not outside. What?
Yeah.
All of the arcades around where we live, they're mostly like gambling-esque games, but they're definitely inside buildings.
No, but in between you and that inside, there is an outside.
Outside the house. I was like, what do you mean they're outside? I don't get it. Okay, fair enough. Now I'm gonna be at MCM Comic Con tomorrow, so hopefully I'll run into.
So you need to go and high five Pip endlessly. Them's the rules. So moving on to my pick of the week, what I've been playing this week, and I decided not to put Persona 5 again because I still haven't finished that because I suck. My God, I've got hours in that. But instead I've been playing Production Line. So you guys might have remembered, or might have seen rather, Big Pharma, which is a game that I played quite a bit on our Twitch channel and kind of generally trumpeted about because it's really cool. The publishing company that put out Big Pharma, the guy also makes, like, they're very small. It's like a one-man team, I think, this publishing company. But he also develops games himself. He's made like Democracy 3. He made oh God, what's the name of the game? Gratuitous Space Battles. He also made, and he's thrown down this, and this is like basic car manufacturing, but in the same style and the same basis as Big Pharma. You import resources, you export out one end, like through another sort of socket in the wall, and you build your lines. You develop technologies which you then sort of patent for a period of time. You put everything together in a certain order. You can choose like what elements go into your car to make it like a more attractive model for people to buy. Is it a more luxury brand or something like that? And it's only in early access at the moment, so it's still a little limited, and it's a little hairy on like the tutorial side. Like there's not much of that in yet.
I was gonna say it doesn't look like it.
But like once you kind of, it's not terribly hard to understand what's going on once you've kind of just fiddled around for a bit and then lost all of your money and then start a new game and go, I get it now. It's pretty fun and like quite challenging, and I really enjoyed Big Pharma because I really enjoyed Theme Hospital, and like Big Pharma is kind of like the manufacturing side of all the drugs that go to Theme Hospital. And then this is the cars that the CEOs of the hospitals buy. I don't know, but like it's just really fun. Definitely give it a solid recommend.
There must be a lot of CEOs for that many cars.
Right? Yeah. Well, you see, wages you have to pay those guys. Jesus. Yeah, it's a very, very tricky management game. Like it's very tricky to kind of ensure that you're making enough money to keep your head above and to keep building and to keep researching new stuff and making sure your layouts all fit as well. Because that was one of the issues as well when like Big Pharma was you had limited space and all of the machines were a slightly different shape, and you had to make sure that they all faced the right way in order to process things towards the next machine and make sure you didn't block your routes to the routes out of the factory and stuff like that. So like that kind of puzzler element almost in trying to make everything fit into place, like Tetris with machinery. Yeah, really good fun. Really, really, really good fun. Now,
I mean,
it
sounds it. No, yeah. I mean, I was gonna say it sounds like it. I know those sort of games aren't really for me anymore, but like it's really cool to see like those one-man teams put out stuff like that. It's one of my favorite things. Oh yeah,
that's the thing, it looks really good. Like Big Pharma, when that finally came out, it was really polished and really balanced, and you could see the care that had gone into it. And like there was some UI elements that he wasn't happy with, so he just patched it later on down the line. It didn't need doing. There was no bugs against it, but he's like, I just don't like the UI. I'm gonna replace that. Like, and I love that kind of spirit with it. I think it's fantastic. But anyway, we have next up the Dream Machine, which I think has been around for a while, right, Jupiter?
Yeah, it's been around since 2012, but they just released the 6th chapter this month.
Oh, okay.
So all of a sudden there's a whole new chapter that just kind of continues on with the story. So the Dream Machine's been around since 2012-ish. But for the last 3 years, they've been working on Chapter 6 because everything's done with claymation and cardboard, and it takes a lot of like work to make the sets almost for the graphics. So I really like just weirdly creepy and different point-and-click adventures. They're like my favorite type of game. So I had seen the Dream Machine, but I didn't really get into it because when I saw the first chapter, I don't know, I was like, there's not a lot of other chapters we'll see, because I saw it before the rest of the chapters were out. But since then I've picked it back up again because of this new release of the 6th chapter, and that should be the complete story as far as I'm aware. And it's just so bizarre and different and such a weird point-and-click adventure, because it starts out, you're this guy who's just moved into this house, and it's fairly normal, you know, you just moved in, your wife's gonna have a baby, that's why you have this house, and you're starting your new job. And you start having these weird dreams that somehow mesh with the world that you're in. And it becomes, from what I know of this game, it becomes like the dreams become part of your real world. And they get really weird and interesting and creepy. And you have to figure your way out through your reality and through your dream world. I'm very excited to work my way up to the 6th chapter, which looks even more mind-bending. The first chapter is fairly normal at first, The sixth chapter's got tons of like neon colors and mushroom worlds and just weird environments. I'm really excited.
I think I have it, you know, like, and it's one of those games where like it sat on my Steam list, and I keep looking at it and going, it might be okay, but it's also really fucking weird. Like, but like that, you know, maybe I'll actually give it a check out now. Like, it's an interesting concept because to my awareness, there's not really anything quite like it out there, like as far as like the animation style and whatever else.
I mean, there are a couple claymation games, but those aren't usually as don't seem to have near polish. Yeah, which is odd when I think about claymation.
Yeah, fair enough.
But like the Dream Machine seems to have a lot going into it.
They've been working on. They've been working on the last chapter for 3 years, so I feel like it's got quite a level of polish. The people that have created it, they seem to really be into claymation as like a previous job that didn't have anything to do with video games. So it was their passion, and they sort of combined it with video games to make this weird adventure. You start off in a dream that's quite tame, but yeah. I've just really been into weird indie point and click adventures. So
which is totally a-okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I grew up with like, you know, Grim Fandango and Monkey Island games and like all of those kind of group of like what I view as being an old bastard is the golden age of point and click, Broken Sword, the early Broken Swords anyway.
Oh yeah.
Like, so it's nice to see that it's still being done well. Like, cause you got like, I think we mentioned it last week actually, like Thimbleweed Park, which I still need to bloody play. It's just great to see that like people are still not afraid to try something really, really different and really out there. You know.
Oh yeah.
Dropsy as well. Yeah, Dropsy soon. Yeah.
Yep.
I love those developers. Those guys are awesome.
I really love Franbo, another weird point and click.
Gosh, yes.
Love Franbo. Freaked out when Franbo released. It was like my all-time favorite game. Love those developers. So point and clicks have a special place in my heart.
All right, that's one that passed me by, I think. So another one on my list.
Franbo, you need to go play Franbo. You need to go play Franbo.
Should I just drop cast now and just go straight? No. Maybe we should hang out a little longer. Okay, so the one from Penny, is it Idol? Idol? Idol. Take it away.
Yes. So, for those of you that don't know, I am someone who is very, very into visual novels and dating sims. Worked on a couple, of voiced characters in a few. But Idol here is my friend Morgana's baby. It's about a girl named Hana. Very shy. She's more of a shut-in. She's like a huge fan of this one idol, this one virtual idol. And one day she gets contacted by this idol. And she's like, there's no way that this is actually this idol because she's a virtual program. It would be like Miku Hatsune contacting me over Skype. Saying that help. It's like, it would be like that. It would be like Miku saying like, help me find my creator. This is what's going on in there. And the reason why I wanted to bring attention to this was because it's this really well written so thus far from what's shown in the demo, and I've seen a little bit of what the script is as of right now, and it's looking really interesting. The game goes from very light, very cheery to pretty messed up in some regards. You start finding out how the company Lyric makes its idols. You start meeting other characters. You start kind of understanding what's going on in that world and in that universe. Because it is a part of a story universe that me and my friend Morgana and some others are working on. and I just really like it. It's another point and click sort of situation, because you're gonna have those sort of scenarios where you're gonna be solving puzzles, you're gonna be interacting with these characters and discovering the story that's unfolding in front of you. And there was something else I was going to mention about it that I'm blanking on.
I mean, my main question around it is, how many times has Morgana told you to go to bed? Hey, Persona jokes.
A lot when she was living here.
But I like the idea of that. So I have like this huge love-hate relationship with visual novels, because the good ones are really genuinely very good, and then there's a huge swath of trash that you see more of, and therefore kind of brings the perception of them as a sort of worthwhile game style completely down.
Yeah, and like I find that as a humongous shame, because the visual novels and dating sims as a genre are these really amazing games that give you the opportunity to experience a story, get to know character. Like, these are stories that in some cases may not work in different genres.
Stories that are customized to you as well and to your choices, which are always quite nice.
Which people love, because like you get to affect what's going on in the story. It's where a lot of like RPGs almost started, in a way, in my mind, with the multiple endings sort of idea. And yeah, the thing that I was going to talk about is that there was a character on screen. Oh yeah, the idol name is Aiko. There is a character in this game. I'm going to point at my TV because you guys can see the stream over there, which I keep forgetting it's there. There's a character in this game that is a trans woman. I was super excited about, and they're an idol, and they're kind of like the one who's struggling with that part of their identity. They're trying to figure it out, trying to balance being an idol with their transition, which is a story that's not always covered.
Oh, absolutely!
At all.
Like, it's rarely covered in any type of game, let alone something in this area.
Yeah. Oh, right. Character's name is Hotaru. So it's just kind of like you like telling a story of a celebrity who's transitioning is very new. And I mean, like, you have it with Laverne Cox and another individual that I don't always agree with, so I won't mention her name. She's an Olympic gold medalist, but I'm still not going to mention her name. The thing is that it's not something that's covered, and even when it is covered, people just kind of forget about it. They gloss over it.
Yeah.
They don't cover it well either.
And they don't cover it well.
No.
Or it's just like a really, really oblique option to like even slightly explore that whole sort of area of story, and it's just kind of like almost tucked away, so it's a checkbox sort of exercise. Like, oh, we mentioned a trans person. Whoop, there you go.
Yep. Which is like, as someone like with me, like who wants to get into developing and writing more, like that's something to help change, because there are so many stories, not even with just trans people, like in the LGBT community in general, that need to be told, because a lot of, and I talk about this, so never call out any of my clients, but every time that I've been, well, this, I'll say it was last year, for the most part last year, except for Princess Ness, I was asked by several different projects to audition for a trans character, and they were all written the same. They were...
Do you find that they fall into the trap of just making that person about being trans? And just fuck all else? Like, they have no other dimension to their character other than, hi, I'm trans, by the way, I'm trans. Oh, but just so you know, I'm trans. And that's it. Because that's what I find with anything LGBT. Like, it's just... you watch it on TV. If there's a gay character, they have to be the flamboyantly over the top, oh my god, darling, sort of gay, and that's it. Like, they go out, they hook up with men, they wear a dress for no apparent reason because it's hysterical, and then that's it. And they have no other interests. And I presume it's the same sort of thing, right?
Oh yeah, it's the same sort of thing. And if it's not about, if their story is not primarily about that, it's about how sassy they are, how over the top they are, how
they go there, girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like they're usually always an older trans individual, and they're usually a little bit not heavy set, but they got like a stronger build to them. A lot of people will tend to, when they write them, will also follow the character example of Laverne Cox's character in Orange is the New Black. Yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with that.
Just need more diversity in the type of trans characters that we have. Yeah. And I find that in some like indie games, they've gotten some heat for creating trans characters and not actually consulting anyone who's gone through that experience and just kind of got what they think it'd be like as someone who's
Urban
never
Dictionary
done
it once and thought, dude, that's my research.
Yeah, and it's like it's the reason why for me that I've kind of opened myself up as a consultant for it, because that's an issue that I see a lot, even for games that aren't out yet or don't come out, where people will talk like they're like, oh, we're just gonna do what we think is best, and I'm like, don't do that, because they're gonna do something wrong. Because like, and I had an experience recently where you, of course, will get people who full well believe that they'll know the experience better than you, because
as opposed to never going through it.
Yeah, as opposed to never going through it. To which, that writer from that project had been fired, purely on purpose of that.
Golly.
Because you'll get people like that just because they've done a lot of they've done research or they've looked it up and they're like, oh, well, I know everything there is to know about it. And it's like, no, you don't. You're getting just one scope.
Nothing makes up for first-hand experience. Like, just no amount of reading you can do will ever make up for first-hand experience.
Oh yeah, and it's like there are a ton of stories to tell, a ton of characters that you can make based off of all those experiences. And I mean, of course, it usually starts off with that stereotype. Yeah. And then you move into my more diverse things, and that's stuff that I want to do. But to go back to this game specifically, it's just really interesting to see where it all goes, and it kind of touches on the sort of corruption and not so moral things that happen in the idol world. In a way, because there's a lot that goes on in that world. Like you're not allowed to date, you're not allowed to do this or that. Your life is basically owned by that company. Right. And you're constantly, if people aren't cheering you on, you're constantly having your life threatened by people who hate you. So it's really interesting, and it's a nice little scope into that while being cutesy and unabashedly anime.
Yeah, but also like actually dealing with the issues properly, and that's just There's so much value in that. There's so much value in that, because you know, even stuff like, you know, you got Mass Effect allowing you to have same-sex relationships. At least in those, it's a choice, and it's like it's almost an aside. Like, and you know, it doesn't matter that they happen to be gay or straight or what have you. Like, it just makes no difference. Like, it's just a thing that happens. It's just a facet of that particular character. And while it's still not dealt with in a particularly fantastic way, in my opinion, at least it's not a sort of centre stage, you know, I'm going to perform an entire Broadway musical for it because that's what us gays do, you know, like, it's just, at least it's dealt with delicately. Because there's nothing that annoys me more than just one-dimensional character for the sake of having that in there as an element to the storyline.
Oh yeah, like that bothers me to no end too, and it's, like I said, the reason why I open myself to consultation when it comes to it. Because, like, there's another game done that I'm working on with my friend Morgana that I've helped out with that a lot, because I'm also voicing that character, oddly enough. Because when I went in there looking at it, like, the character at first was very, very one-dimensional. It was very, like, cut and paste. And I'm like, it's like, let's not. Because this is getting to the point where it's starting to actually, dare I say it, offend me.
Yeah.
To where it's like we just need more diversity when it comes to the stories. So it's like, for characters like Wataru and Idol, yes, it's touched upon, but they're part of the stories, like them trying to be the best idol that they can be.
Yeah, and that's their main sort of focus throughout, right?
Yeah. So, like, for this other character that I helped write in this other project, it's like they've already transitioned, so it's more about the story of them trying to be a pro gamer and trying to... I actually have to remember to talk to Aurelian about it, but about them being a streamer as well, because oddly enough, the character was written to be a pro gamer and a streamer even before I joined the project. So it's just kind of like making sure, like, yes, you can touch on it, but you don't have to be heavy-handed and make it the entire thing about the character.
Yeah, and yeah, as I say, it's a trap that you see things fall into all too often. So even like, at least with like you say, Laverne Cox's character in Orange Is the New Black, there are multiple facets. There's still quite a lot focal on being a trans character, but like, there are other elements to her life in there that are displayed and spoken about and put on show. And yes, there is some focus on it, and yes, it becomes like a central plot point in a way at one point. At least there's more explored about her character than just this one thing, you know?
Oh yeah, and like that was pretty much not part of like the comparison I was making there. I meant kind of like the characterization anyway, with like being strong, and
yeah, for sure.
A lot of people will see it as like, oh, they're not allowed to show weakness, because when they show weakness, they're just showing like it's there. There's a lot of that sort of like mentality that I could go into in like a mental health podcast, but I probably won't here.
It's a story for another time.
It's a story for another time, because it's a doozy, because there's stuff that carries over from being a man to being a trans woman. It's bleh.
But yeah, maybe that's maybe another podcast will spring from this one, and we'll explore this in more depth, perhaps. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah.
But there's definitely interest for something like that. I think there's a lack of exploring those sort of themes well or in any place. So this is definitely
and
something
also
interesting
lack of options to do that sort of stuff in character creation, and also a lack of character creation on the past little bit.
Very true. But let's move on to like the the big juicy topic that we've come here to discuss today. And that
I'm jumping for joy on this one.
Well, no, we're gonna I was gonna mention the Magikarp game, but we're running quite heavy on time. But seriously, go Magikarp Jump, go and download it. It's like the most adorable fucking game ever.
It really is.
But let's jump into the real sort of juicy topic that we've brought to the table this week, and it's about indie games and their developers and their relationships with content creators and how they get the word out about what they do. Where do they really go from here? Because I feel like we've kind of reached a point with the indie scene where there's a very, very high saturation point. There's a lot more developers than there used to be, being able to put out their games in a lot more different ways on a lot more platforms, which is fantastic. But unfortunately, it has the side effect of a lot of games get lost by the wayside. A lot of games don't see the success that you really think that they should. And unfortunately, I think a lot of indie developers, because they're a very, very small team, or even potentially an individual, they're fantastic at creating games, but they perhaps have no experience of marketing their game, for contacting content creators, or even knowing to contact content creators, or how to go about doing that, which one should they target, and who, what, when, where. So, like, what do you think is the solution to this? Because indies don't have money, so odds are they're not really going to be in too strong a position to go to a publishing house and just say, "Hey, we brought this game out, take this on board." So, what do you guys envision them doing with this?
So I feel like a lot of indie developers start developing a game and feel that the only thing they have to do is create a good game, which isn't the way things work because of oversaturation. You have to take on other roles. You have to market your game. You have to go to events and show your game off to people and get feedback. There's so many other aspects to making an indie game. There are plenty of resources out there. There's plenty of lists of like content creators that have an average amount of views and subs that you can go and contact directly through email or through whatever social media they use. There's resources that help you create just stunning emails that include pictures to your game and everything you need. There are guides that show what you need to include. There's Press Kit, which you can easily just lay out all of your information to then send it to people who would be interested in covering your game. It does seem overwhelming, the amount of stuff you have to do to market your game. But it's something that just needs to be tackled slowly and needs to be researched, and the time has to be put in it, or your game will just get lost. And it's insane that I spoke to a developer recently, and she was very convinced that I could just find her game, like that I as a content creator would just find her game. And I was like, I don't think you get it. There's like, 70 games just published on Steam per week or something, or per day even. It's very unlikely that someone will just stumble upon your game. It does happen, and those people are very lucky. But a lot of times you have to be the proactive one.
Like, you absolutely need to be proactive when it comes to marketing in general. Because media saturation it happens. Like, you will get lost if you don't promote yourself, if you don't market yourself. And I feel like a lot of these like indie devs have the benefit of platforms like Keymailer and Terminals.io now, to where a lot of that can be mitigated with a sort of hands-off. But then
even something like Keymailer, if I were to go on Keymailer right now, for games released today, there'll probably be 15, 20 on there at least. Maybe more. If it's on like a busy release day. I quite often have a flick through Keymailer to see what's out there, but there's not enough hours in the day for me to click into each and every single one of those and give it a proper look from, you know, your thumbnail being interesting enough to make me want to have a look at it in the first place. I just I don't have the time. Like, I think that perhaps there's an underestimation from some folks of just how much work goes into being a content creator. You know, it's the visible side is the 5, 6, 8, however many hours a day that you're streaming, but they never see the social media, the research, the networking, the additional bits and bobs, researching new games to pick up and play, and replying to the emails from all of these PR companies and whatever. Like, I probably get between 30 and 50 emails a day, just foisting different press releases and whatever else at me. And it takes long enough to muddle through all of those, let alone...
57 unread emails in my inbox currently, right now. It's just
there you go.
Always like this.
Say hello to 2069.
Yeah. Like,
it's like...
that's...
It's like a lot of people underestimate that, and then they also also for me, they underestimate the duality of being someone who also works in the industry. So it's just like they can't rightfully expect content creators to just stumble upon a video game because of how much work we do and how much we're already playing.
Yeah.
Because on top of that, it's like,
why wouldn't you just take the people that are being proactive and emailing you and following up and, you know, contacting you? It just has to be done.
So who would you guys say that you've experienced or interacted with do that well? Like, who even though they're, you know, a small size indie company, they probably barely have enough time to cover the patching that they need to do to get the game out the door in the first place, but still manage to kind of build and keep those relationships. Like, have you experienced any of late that really managed that well?
I think the developers of Snake Pass are quite proactive in going to an event and then handing out and receiving business cards and giving you their time to speak to people who come as press one-on-one, because I've met them at a couple of different events, and they remembered me and saw me standing by their stage and was like, oh, how are you getting on? Like, we've done this new feature, and that's what we've worked on from that last event that you were at. And those little interactions, especially interactions face-to-face, they're so meaningful. And it's such a great way to build connections. And I think it's sometimes underestimated. And I understand that events, they're a big thing. And they do cost money. But there are plenty of aspects or plenty of areas in events that are free or that you can get into for much cheaper than having a booth. And that's something that you definitely should look into and go to, and then follow up the business cards you get well, which is another thing. They've emailed me, and, you know, it's not just like a generic press email, though I have gotten some because I did sign up to the newsletter. They've sent me specific emails that are like, hey, just thought you'd be interested. These are some new bullet points we've done, and games coming out on the Switch soon. And it's just a good way of they do a good job of keeping connections.
And thinking about it, like, one of the things that I have really noticed, and I guess it's been more of late than anything, people fucking suck at following up on business cards and emails. Like, and that's been more recently. That's been the past 6 months to a year. The amount of emails, like, I'll receive a press release or an email from someone saying, hey, our game is coming out in blah 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 day, and it has these features, and here's a trailer, and here's a press key. Email me for a review key. And I email them, and I say, hey, look, I don't just go, yes, gift key. I'll send it, and I'll go, you know what, this looks really good, you've got some cool features here, this thing looks really fun, and I think I could, you know, show this to some people, and I'll do a review, and blah blah blah. And then you hear nothing, and you think, well, what the fuck is... Like, I understand you guys are busy, but
I've given you my time.
If you're promoting your game, then surely this has value to you. And if you sent me the email in the first place, then surely you have an interest in doing so. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
I always find that really interesting because I just think there are times where people are just so overwhelmed, and I guess this is coming from me as well, just being just doing what I do, that there are just times where you're just almost too overwhelmed to respond.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because that is can be and will be a huge detriment to you when you're trying to build a business relationship. But sometimes that happens. Sometimes they miss your email. I know I do that. And it's just like there's so much that goes into it, but it's been happening so much more recently to where it can cause anxiety on the content creator, or it can happen on the other side too. It's like, oh, what are we doing here? Oh no, they hate me. Sort of deal.
Especially if they give you like a release date, because there was one person recently that said my game's released on the 18th or whatever, and I said, okay, I can make a video for release date if you just get the Steam key back to me. And they were like, yeah, no problem. And then the 18th came and went, and I had that day scheduled to do their video. Like, that's the day I wanted to release it. And they got back to me a little bit after the release date and was like, oh, sorry. But just that miss, now I don't have time. I don't have it in my schedule anymore. And it's just a lost opportunity.
And the thing is, you know yourself that, like, now that the release date's come and gone, everyone else is probably already at the gate with that content. It's probably not worth you making that content anymore.
Nope.
There's probably not going to be much in the way of traffic coming from it. So, why?
I mean, it's
you know.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like it would be like, say, IGN or GameSpot getting their review code late for Destiny 2. It's like, of course, like, maybe they'll still do it, but there will be a hesitation there because it's not going to be as profitable because other outlets are already have posted walkthroughs for the entire game. So it's just kind of like they need to handle that sort of interaction with content creators almost the same way they do reviewers. Because if you miss that ship's going to sail, and those content creators aren't going to want to make it unless they're invested.
It's gone. Like, it's fully gone. Like, there is no longer any point in that content going out.
Yeah. But, like, oh man, I know for me personally, like, developers that have always been really good about it, Concerned Ape, as busy as they are.
Oh, yes.
The folks at Chucklefish are usually really good about it. Team Cherry. The folks that do Battle Chef Brigade are really good. These are people that, no matter what event I go to, one of them will see me in the crowd and come over and hug me, because they are one of the sweetest. And I just love the concept of their game. It's just like, it's Anime Master Chef. I mean, come on now.
Well, what's not to like?
Yeah.
I tell you who was really good, and I just loved the way they handled it. And admittedly, they went through Reverb as a PR company for it, but Madfellows, who made Aero, they tasked a few streamers to actually basically become the trailer for their game. So they arranged some promo spots for that content, and the streamer plays the game and has the developer is there in chat interacting with all of the viewers in there who are, hopefully being convinced to pick up the game. And they're then sort of compiled into like a best of video, and that's marketing material for them as well.
Yeah.
And all that takes is a game key and the offer of a little promotion through various different channels. Admittedly, Reverb's got more clout than an individual indie developer, but if an indie developer says, hey, look, I'll send my following across to you as much as I can through Twitter, Facebook, whatever, word of mouth, give you a game key, and then we'll take your content, make sure it links back to you, and use you as promotional material. What's not to love?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Perfect.
And like
it's a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And like it goes back to, yeah, I actually just remembered I had a similar conversation with another indie dev, U7 committee, for their game Minotaur about this, where having a trailer, having a video of content creators, people like, and people who would obviously play your game, having first experiences with the game, is probably the best thing you could ever do for a trailer, in my mind, aside from gameplay.
Yeah, it's genuine.
It's one of the, it's genuine. It's one of the reasons why I feel Outlast and Alien Isolation did so well. Was because they had videos of that.
Well, Alien Isolation, they did like kind of the old school things that they used to do for like movie promotions, where they'd sort of capture people just coming out of it and going, "So what did you think? Oh, how scared are you? How much shit is in your pants?" You know, like, and that's brilliant. Like, it just really captures something.
Yeah, and a lot of people, a lot of developers, indie devs especially, miss out on that sort of marketability of the first-hand experience, is how I'm going to coin that phrase. Because like, if people like it's kind of like it's almost like a psychology thing. If people see a trailer where they're seeing someone watch a movie, they're scared, they're going to want to go see it because they're going to see if they're going to have that same elicited response. So if people are seeing people enjoying a game, being scared by it or enjoying it, they're going to want to give it a shot too.
Yeah. They can see the experience that they could potentially receive, and it's an enviable and an appreciable experience that they're going to attempt to replicate. Perfect. That's marketing. That is selling them the dream, right? That's if you ever do sales or marketing or anything like that, that's the base element of it, is sell the dream, not what the product is, but sell the dream of what you can do with that product. And that's exactly it. This is the experience that you can attain by playing this game. So I think so how do you think that indies can really do that in a realistic way, though? Because with the saturation that's there, and there's a lack of experience for a lot of folks, and a lack of even just skill sets. Not everyone is made out to be a great promo person. The same way I'm not made out to be a developer. If you put me in front of code, I'll tell you to fuck off. I can't stand coding. I cannot stand coding at all. Like,
code makes me upset.
I'm sorry, but like, I'm not spending 3 days trying to find a missed semicolon. It's not happening. I'd sooner swan dive off the roof. Like, just no, don't do it to me. But like, I feel that I can promote a game pretty well because I know how to sell, and it's basically selling. Like that's all that is, really. You're selling a premise rather than a product directly at that stage, but it's still sales. But like, so lacking that those skill sets, and resources like Evolve PR, who are fantastic. They are quite picky with what they take on, and they're also a limited resource. There's only so many games that they can cover, and of certain size and whatever else. Like, if there was one thing that you could turn around to an indie and say, look, if nothing else, do this. Like, what would you guys say to them?
Oh man.
Nothing else, do this. That's a loaded question.
Apparently so. I wasn't aware as it fell out my mouth, but
yeah, I mean, like, there's so many things that
use Twitter to promote your game in specific Twitter communities that would be interested in it, using GIFs. So that's a very detailed answer.
Throw some GIFs in there. Get that one of the woman with the horse head on doing the thumbs up. Just bang that in on every tweet. Winner.
Make some GIFs of your game and see what hashtags are usable for your game. Mm-hmm. Join some communities, because there's like communities around hashtags, like Indie Dev Hours, a load of like indies who just kind of share little GIFs of their work in progress and whatnot. So become a part of that. Actively be a part of communities that might enjoy your game.
Yeah, like, get involved in those communities. Like, this was where I was going because I was also talking about it with my friend Morgana, who keeps telling me to go to sleep every night and won't let me go outside my door. It's like, interact with these communities, like, be it on Twitter, be it on Reddit. Let me tell you that, like, the visual novel community has a extremely dedicated Reddit forum for this sort of stuff, and it's a good way to get the word out that you have a project going on. And it's, I guess, like, do your, like, just contact content creators, be there and chat, and like, I guess, like, it's just, for me, just, like, get that first-hand experience, get people talking, because word of mouth is extremely powerful. And it's like, I don't know what it like, and it is a really big thing for me, is just when I'm playing a game and when a developer is there.
Yeah.
Or someone from the team. They don't even have to be on the writing side of it. They could be on the VO side of it. They could be
the fucking secretary that works on the front desk for all it mattered.
Yes.
If they're attached to it.
Passionate about that product.
The janitor of Square Enix could be there, and I would be happy.
Oh, Jim, I know him well. Yeah.
Jim, yeah.
Pops in my stream all the time.
So it's just like, it's like following the that sort of example of just being there, because it shows that you care. Like, it shows that you care about your product and about your audience. And yeah, like what Ghost Kitten said, Battle Chef Brigade posts like gifs of their development all the time, and they're constant. They're involved. Hell, like, even some of Square Enix's folks are involved in Twitch communities.
Yeah, for sure.
Very much
and are streamers in their own rights as well. For sure.
Eric, I believe, is one of them.
Kat as well. She's like
Kat,
Western community manager, I think. Or US and UK at least. Anyway, like, she streams quite a bit, and she's like, you know, she is actually a genuine streamer. Like, she's not just doing a stream because it's part of her role or anything. Like, she just streams on her own time.
And Square Enix has been amazing with their marketing in the past 2 years, better than.
I mean, their marketing for Final Fantasy 15 was very good. It's just a shame that the game didn't live up to that. But
I think then they got their whole thing with, like, the WWE that one time. I believe. It's like they know. Yeah.
Yeah, they've definitely got their finger more on the pulse now than they had previously. But I think the thing that I would tell indie devs to do is take a week to learn Twitch. Go hang out in, like, just fucking RNG the channels. Look for the games that are similar or in the same sort of area as your title, and hang out in a few of those channels. And slowly start to speak here and there and interject where you can. Don't sit there just going, oh, by the way, I'll make a game that's really similar to this. Check it out. Like,
link, post.
Yeah, like, but, like, you know, sit in their channel, talk to those people. If it seems appropriate, drop a message to that streamer to see if they're interested in playing your title, because it's very similar to the one that they were playing that day. But learn how Twitch works. Learn how those communities work. And it's a week of dev time that you've lost, but
it should be part of dev time, though. It's part of you making a game.
It's community dev.
It should be considered part of it.
Like, that's pretty much what it falls into. And
it's literally community building.
Yeah, and if you spend that time, you'll know what you're doing when it comes to the point when you start promoting your game properly. Well, you know, at release rather. You'll have more of an idea of who will be the most effectual people to reach out to, in what areas to reach out to in order to promote your game. I say Twitch as the example because I think that's very difficult to do on YouTube, like as in the video side of YouTube, rather than like I don't know much at all about the live streaming side, other than I think it's crap. But like
a lot of people don't know much about it. Even a lot of YouTubers that I know personally, since I know a lot of the folks who are under the Frederator network. They just don't know how to approach it, and a lot of them, hell, even folks like Team 4-Star just stream on Twitch because they just don't find the viability in YouTube streaming.
It's just a mess as well. It's just weird. But like, so I use Twitch as an example there because I think it's a bit of an ask. It's an ask for me to go to jump in and understand that, and I've been doing that kind of stuff for quite some time. Let alone anyone else, you know, like it's very hard to get noticed in a comment section as opposed to a live chat. So, you know, that time you take to learn about where your game's going to be marketed the strongest, because as much as people kind of debate around it, live streaming and video creation is probably the strongest form of marketing. It's the most direct form of marketing, and it's also one of the most powerful forms of marketing available at the moment, because it's completely two-directional. Like, as much as I'm going, hey, this game's great, you should buy it, person in chat A is also going, well, what are the longswords like? And I can go, well, the longswords are like this, and that's another reason you should buy this game. And you know, that level of power and the level of trust that you can leverage through that relationship as well. You know, there are people that read our reviews on our site because they trust our transparency, but that comes across more when you're live because it's so hard to hide being fake. If I'm streaming for 8 hours, is there any real way that I can keep going, ha, this game's so good, whilst you're dying on the inside? There's just no way.
There's no way. You're like, it's not something you can edit out. And it's like, as someone who used to do YouTube previously, and like Jupiter here, you would know as well that it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
And YouTube is also a platform where it's hard for people to find you, and most of the time people are going to be wanting to find live gameplay anyway. So it's kind of like most of the people who are going to be coming to watch are going to be coming to watch for you and your personality, the sort of content you make, as opposed to looking for new gameplay, because most of the time the new gameplay is going to be higher in the search results, and it's just kind of like YouTube's formula is a little more difficult to work with.
Yeah, I would say so.
But it's beneficial. It's still beneficial.
For sure, but it's a tough nut to crack. Absolutely. Well, I mean, hopefully, you know, that's an idea if any indies stumble into this podcast through any of the methods it would be going up. But I think that's, well, I was going to say that's about all we have time for this week, but that about all we have time for this week was about a half an hour ago. So as we do our new tradition of running fantastically over. So all that really remains is titling the episode. What made this episode of the podcast 6 out of 10? And I think it's probably going to be the lack of tiny pixels, really, isn't it? 6 out of 10, not enough tiny pixels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, we're pipless right now.
We are pipless.
And I mean, she was the only reason I was coming on anyway.
Well, I see how it is. Right, well, I'll just leave now, shall I? I see how it is.
Yeah, well, been here long enough.
That's true enough. 6 out of 10 best segues. I mean, the segues are strong, because I didn't have a pip restraining me from continuing to make horrific segues the entire way through this time. But I think 6 out of 10, not enough pip, will probably do as a title for this week.
And then next week will be 6 out of 10 too much pip.
Yep. And then just 6 out of 10 just right, and then Goldilocks is eaten by the bears for the following week. But all that really remains is for me to thank massively Jupiter and Penny for coming along and just being fantastic and having some really, really solid opinions to put across. You can find them under the Twitter names that they've got under their name at the moment. Under their name? Under their face. Is more...
Under my face. I'm going to chomp it.
Don't eat your name! God, do you know how long it took me for me to prepare those? And their names are going to be on the...
haggis. I like it.
And their information will be at the end of the podcast on the splash screen, and we're going to be linking them below any of the VOD material as well. So thank you very much for coming along this week, guys, and we will see you guys next week with hopefully at least 100% more Pip.
I would hope.
Well, you'd hope so. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, and catch you next week. Have a good one, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.